This is the untold story of Bright Morgan, Africa's youngest tech billionaire. A genius. A Forbes 30 Under 30 CEO. He had everything: money, fame, and good looks. But behind all the smiles and shiny life, he had a secret that no amount of money could take away. Bright Morgan was born with both male and female private parts. Before we begin the story, comment below with the country you are watching from. Enjoy the story, everyone. In a small, quiet village called Bodo, deep in southern Nigeria, lived a man named Bari and his wife Koko. They were expecting their very first child. Bari was a fisherman. His arms were strong, and people feared him because of his bad temper. Koko was a tailor. Every day, she sat by the roadside with her sewing machine, mending old clothes and making simple dresses for the women in the village. Then, one night, something strange happened. The moon was full and bright. Koko had just served dinner to her husband, Bari. Suddenly, she held her belly and screamed, "The baby is coming!" Her water had broken. She was in pain. She was scared. Bari jumped to his feet and quickly helped her up. They rushed to the old midwife's hut. She was the only one in the village who helped women give birth. Inside the hut, Koko lay on a mat, sweating and crying. Then came a loud cry. The baby was born. But the midwife froze. She did not smile. She did not speak. She looked at the baby, then at Koko, then back at the baby again. Her hands started to shake. The baby had both male and female private parts. Then midwife screamed. The loud scream echoed through the village. Neighbors came running to the hut, afraid something terrible had happened. Bari pushed through the crowd and stepped inside. He looked at the baby. He took one step back. His eyes were wide. His face filled with fear. He pointed at the baby and shouted, "This is not my child. This is an abomination." Koko, still weak and crying, reached out and held her baby tightly. She didn't understand. But she knew one thing. She loved her child. By the next morning, the news had spread all over the village. People gathered in small groups, whispering. Some said Koko had cheated on her husband. Others said the gods were angry with her for something bad she had done. The elders of the village called for a meeting. Bari was there. One of the oldest men stood up and spoke. He said the child was a curse. A danger to the land. He said the baby must be killed and thrown into the evil forest. Bari agreed. Koko fell to her knees and begged him, "Please, don't let them kill our baby." But Bari's heart was cold. He said, "Don't bring that cursed child to my house." That night, when the village was asleep, Koko packed her few clothes. She wrapped her baby in a cloth and tied him on her back. Then she walked away. She entered the bush, walking barefoot in the dark. She walked for hours. Through the trees. Through the cold. Then, just before dawn, she saw a faint light in the distance. It was a bus, an old night bus heading to Lagos. Koko ran toward it and waved. The driver stopped. She climbed in with her baby still tied to her back. She didn't know what the future would bring. But she knew where she was going. Her younger sister, Boma, was in Lagos. And that was the only place she could go. The journey of Bright Morgan had just begun. Life in Lagos was not easy. Koko and her baby moved in with her sister, Boma, in a small one-room face-me-I-face-you apartment in Mushin. The room was tiny. The walls had cracks. The toilet was outside and shared with many people. There was always noise, crying babies, shouting neighbors, and loud music. But Koko did not complain. She was safe now. And her child was alive. To survive, Koko did anything she could. She worked small jobs, cleaning and washing for others. She also continued sewing clothes for people in the area, using an old sewing machine that Boma helped her find. Boma sold cooked food by the roadside. Early every morning, she would set up her table, serving rice, beans, and stew to hungry workers. Time passed. Bright Morgan began to grow. He was quiet. And he always stayed close to his mother. When Bright became old enough to start school, Koko enrolled him in a small primary school nearby. Every morning, no matter how tired she was, Koko would hold Bright's hand and walk him to school. After dropping him off, she would head straight to her cleaning job. But before they left home, she always gave him the same warning. "Bright, don't take off your clothes where other children can see you. You hear me? Never." She always bathed him very early in the morning, before the neighbors woke up, and very late at night, when everyone had gone to sleep. She didn't want anyone to see his body. She didn't want the stares, the gossip, the danger. As Bright grew older, he began to notice things. The boys in school changed their clothes freely. The girls too. But he couldn't. He always had to hide. One evening, after dinner, Bright sat beside his mother and asked in a soft voice, "Mama, why do you always tell me to hide my body? Why do I have two different private parts, unlike other children?" For a long moment, Koko was silent. She stared at him with gentle eyes. Then, she held his small hands and said, "Because you were born special, my son. I want you to know something. Your difference is not a punishment. And God does not make mistakes. Don't be ashamed. And never let this thing control your life. What makes you different does not make you less. It makes you unique. You are whole. You are loved. And you were meant to shine." Bright looked at his mother. Her eyes were wet with tears. He hugged her tightly. And together, they went to bed. In school, Bright did exceptionally well. He didn't talk much. He didn't play with the other children. He kept to himself. He always had a book in his hand. Years passed. And when it was time for university, Bright got admission into the University of Lagos to study software engineering. Through a scholarship. All his hard work had paid off. But even in the university, Bright stayed the same. No friends. No girlfriend. No parties. He was still very conscious of his condition. He never told anyone. He didn't want people to look at him like he was strange. So he focused. He studied. And he became the best student in his department. When he graduated, something big happened. He was given another scholarship to study for his master's degree at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, in America. MIT, one of the best schools in the world. But even in America, Bright stayed quiet. He did not open up about his body. He still didn't trust people that much. He focused only on learning. And guess what? He became one of the top students at MIT. While he was still in school, Bright started a tech startup with another Nigerian student. They worked hard, day and night. They built software, fixed bugs, made plans. And in just 2 years, the startup raised millions of dollars. That was the beginning. After that, Bright Morgan started his own company. It grew fast. He hired engineers. He partnered with global firms. He created tools and software used around the world. The tech world began to notice him. People started talking. And then, Forbes listed him as one of the Africa's youngest billionaire. After graduating from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Bright Morgan returned home to Nigeria. He didn't rest. He launched more companies. His name was everywhere, on billboards, on news headlines, on magazine covers. But even with all his success, there was something missing. Bright was still not dating anyone. People began to talk. Blogs wrote stories. Some said, Bright is gay. Others said, no, he's secretly married to someone abroad. And some whispered, he's in a cult. He made a vow to stay single forever. But Bright said nothing. He just posted pictures on his social media. Photos of new office buildings. Photos of his team at work. Photos of his donations to schools and hospitals. But at night, when the lights went off and the world went quiet, Bright would lie awake on his bed. His condition still bothered him. He couldn't sleep well. He couldn't stop thinking about it. One day, he decided it was time. He went to see a doctor. He wanted to know if something could be done. The doctor checked him carefully. Then he said, yes, Bright, we can do a surgery to remove one of the private parts. But it may cause serious complications. Bright's heart dropped. He swallowed hard. Then, with a shaky voice, he asked, will I ever be normal? The doctor looked at him kindly and said, Bright, you are normal. Just different. But this surgery might cause more harm than good. Bright was quiet for a moment. Then he nodded slowly and said, it's okay, doctor. I have chosen to live fully, just the way I am. Bright Morgan didn't stop giving. He used his success to bless others. He bought a big mansion for his mother and Auntie Boma in Lagos. He opened a large fashion house for his mother. And a big restaurant for Auntie Boma. He gave scholarships to smart children. He supported young business owners. He spoke at tech events, business shows. He was on Forbes, CNN, and everywhere in between. But still, he was alone. After many years of silence, questions, and fear, Bright Morgan finally made a decision. He was ready. Ready to open his heart. Ready to love and be loved. Not in spite of his uniqueness, but with it. One Friday night, at a special rooftop party, Bright met a woman named Sophia. She was a real Lagos big girl. Bold, beautiful, and full of confidence. The kind of woman who turned heads without even trying. They talked. They laughed. They shared phone numbers. The next day, they went on a date. The table was full of food and drinks. Bright looked into her eyes and said, I really like you, and I want us to be lovers. Sophia smiled and said, I like you too. Then Bright gently held her hands. His voice became quiet. But, I have a condition, he said. I have both male and female private parts. Sophia froze. She didn't say anything. Bright continued softly. But trust me, you have nothing to worry about. I live a normal life, just like you. Sophia blinked, then said, "Can you give me some time to think all of this through?" Bright nodded. "Sure. You can." That night, as Bright lay on his bed, he picked up his phone and began to scroll through the internet. Then he saw something that made his heart stop. He was trending. Everywhere. News blogs, gossip sites, even major TV stations. All talking about his condition. Bright Morgan has both male and female private parts. They all shouted. Sophia had sold the story. Bright's world crashed. He didn't leave his house for 2 whole weeks. He just sat alone in silence. Then one morning, he stood up. He had made a decision. He booked a press conference. He sat in front of cameras, and for the first time, Bright Morgan spoke. "I have both male and female private parts," he said. "I kept it a secret because I was afraid. Afraid of what people would say. Afraid of being laughed at. Afraid of being hated. But I'm not afraid anymore. I built everything you see, while carrying this truth. And I will not hide anymore." The room went quiet. Then, some people clapped. Some people cried. But that day, something changed. Bright Morgan launched a foundation to help children born with rare conditions. To give them hope. To tell them they matter. Months later, on a work trip to Ghana, Bright met a woman named Kwatima. She was kind and she saw Bright for who he truly was. They got married. 1 year later, they welcomed a baby girl. They almost ended his story before it even began. They tried to kill him as a baby. They called him an abomination. But Bright Morgan lived. And in living, he became a shining light to the world. A reminder that being born different is not a curse. It is a rare kind of strength.